Welcome to episode 30 of the Little Radio Show. My name is Sandra Fernandez, and I'm joined by my co-hosts Juan Alanis and Anjelica Cazares, and we're bringing you small talk about big topics. This week we have a candid conversation about getting older and feeling older, and we look at the things we think are responsible. We also talk about confronting failure, how this affects our ability to try new things, and what we've had to do to overcome this obstacle. Just a reminder that you can catch us every week on Thursdays at 2 p.m. Central Time on hmsnetradio.org. Our show archives and the link to our iTunes and Stitcher channels are available at thelittleradioshow.com. The Little Radio Show is brought to you in partnership with HispanicHouston.com and JuanOfWords.com.
Heads up, this conversation actually started in the kitchen. We were standing around talking, and we were having the conversation about, you know, the ins and outs of our life and what was coming and what wasn't happening, and the joints and aches and pains. And all of a sudden it dawned on me, oh my God, I'm having an old person's conversation. Like, is this really happening? And it remembers it, and all of a sudden I had this flashback to the conversations that I used to have with friends back in the day, where we didn't really have these conversations. It was those conversations like, what are we going to do tonight? Who are we inviting? Whose car are we taking?
Who'd you hook up with?
Yeah, who'd you hook up with? Who are you talking to? Oh my God, did he text you? Or, you know, we're going out of town this weekend, grab your stuff, let's go. And it's not like that anymore. All of a sudden now, going out of town is a big deal. We got to arrange things. We got to do things. Bills to be paid. Do we have the money?
Make sure your dog gets fed.
Oh, yes. Make sure the dog is fed, or with whoever. Are we taking the child? Does the child want to go with us? What are we doing? How long are we going for? And all these aspects. And all of a sudden I'm like, I'm an adult. I'm an old adult. How did that happen? How did I go? I feel like I went from 18 to 30. Well, you know what I mean. So I'm not going to give you my age.
I'm going to tell you the moment in my mid to late 30s when I understood that I was getting to be an old person. It's when the doctor told me that I had the beginnings of arthritis.
Oh, wow.
Arthritis. I'm like, no, I don't. That's not possible. That's an old person's disease. Nope. Beginnings of arthritis. And it's just gone downhill from there.
So I'm the culprit of our conversation from the kitchen, because I was standing around, we were just talking, and all of a sudden I'm like, Sandra, do you have any pills? Because I'm starting to see squiggly lines, and I feel like I'm about to get a headache.
Oh, and that's as I am going on to my third cup of tea because of the stupid head cold. Because I went into 18-degree weather. When was it before that the weather outside made me sick? It never did.
Yeah, that the weather affects you. Now all of a sudden everything affects you. You walk in, you're like, you smell it, and you know, or you smell like dust, or you smell like mold, or you smell something,
and
your
like,
allergies. Yeah, this is gonna kick in. I can't do this. Or to me, it's heat. Like, I can't stand heat. Like, so. As we live in Texas, it is very hot. And so the thing is that I should be able to stand the heat, and I can't stand the heat, and I can't stand, you know, being out in the hot weather. I need to be like under shade. I need to be under an umbrella. Something needs to be happening for me to feel comfortable. I was a child who used to run around, you know, in 110-degree weather, and all of a sudden I can't take the heat.
The moment I think I started realizing that we were getting older, that I was getting older, was when we were out with friends, and all of a sudden it's like 11 o'clock, getting close to midnight, and I'm like falling asleep. I'm like yawning all over the place, and I'm just like, what time is it? And I look at my clock. I'm like, I was like, before we would be out to like all hours of the night, and we wouldn't sleep the whole night, and we'd go the next day, and we were fine. And now I was like midnight already. And then the other day, just recently, I was driving Edgar to the movies with his cousin, and I dropped him off, and then I didn't drop, actually they got dropped off, but then we had to go pick him up. And I was like, when did my Friday nights become about picking up Edgar from socializing?
So, you know, I'm going to go saying it used to be you could just pick up and leave, and now I have to check my calendar before I make, agree to make plans with anyone, because I've got so much stuff going on, and I've got a client commitment, so I can't just say, oh, I'm going to pick up and go meet you, because I've got to go look at my to-do list on top of that.
All of a sudden, it's no longer about your friends, you know, it's no longer about your friends. You see the worth in taking care of your family, your home, your work, your career, your ins and outs of what you like, and you have to... you disperse that energy all over the place. And so when you commit to something, you really know you're committing to it. So it's like,
but that's being an adult.
know?
It's not being old. Being old is when
that is old to me. Being committed.
Old is when you're like, hey, it's time for dinner.
Being old is being old.
I can't miss a meal because it's going to give me a headache.
No joke. That is so true. That is very true.
Like,
it's like I miss breakfast. It's already 12 o'clock. I cannot believe it. If I go to 1 o'clock, for sure my day's going to be off.
Yes.
I'm going to be having dinner at 10 o'clock. I'm not going to be able to go to sleep by 3 o'clock, and I have shit to do in the morning.
Or I can't have milk anymore because it makes my stomach upset.
Oh my God. This is such an old person conversation altogether already.
Or my favorite is I can't have meat after 6 o'clock because I can't sleep then.
No, for me, it's red sauce. So I can't have marinara spaghetti, red sauce, tomato-based, anything on anything after like 5 o'clock because all of a sudden it's like you get those gurglies in your stomach and that's not going to happen and I'm going to wake up with...
You remember when your stomach was made of iron and you could eat anything?
Well, making the decision now where you're like, oh, people offer you something and you're like, no, I can't have that. I'm sorry. It's going to mess with my stomach. But also, like, throwing out your back is another sign that you're getting old. And I've, like...
Oh, yes.
Throwing out your what?
Throwing out your back. And I've thrown out my back a few times, and I'm just like... And then I've been walking around, like, hunched over.
No, you don't walk hunched over. You walk, like, with your hip up or something.
And I'm like, I feel so old.
We were having this. You just said it earlier. We were at a friend's. Event. Not an event, at an outing in the evening, and all of a sudden, I'm standing there drinking my drink and watching people, and I was having fun just watching people.
Yes.
I wasn't that person before. Like, I was a person on the dance floor, not caring. I mean, I still do that, but I can't do that for length of time anymore. Like, I can do it for about 10 minutes, and then I gotta go take a break. That's how I know I'm getting old. But our day out, what does it consist of now, Juan? Going out and having, like, one drink and a couple of tapas. And that's it. That's our outing. Like, that's how you know you're getting very old. It's like... Yeah, I can't do more than one drink. One, I'm going to get drunk. That's not going to look well. My stomach can't handle it. And two, it's going to be Saturday and I still got to get up at 8 o'clock in the morning because I still got other things I need to do. It's like Saturdays were like, they were cherished, because you were getting over Thursday and Friday night. And now you're not doing that anymore. And yeah, so... We're not going out anymore.
For me, it was also like when I stopped. Like before, I knew when I was drinking, I knew like, okay, if I keep drinking after this, I'm gonna have a hangover tomorrow. And most times I would be like, okay, well, whatever, and I just keep going. And now, like, now I get to that point, and I stop myself. I'm like, okay, that's it, no more. You're cut off.
You're cut off. Because it's gonna do you bad. It's. So, do you think, you're getting older when it's like it starts including your health and all of a sudden you're taking care of your health? You're like watching for symptoms and signs. You're like, hold on. So
I can't do that because it's going to give me a headache.
Yeah.
I can't do that because, it's going to be bad for my knees.
Yeah. But mind you, I feel very young at heart.
No, you don't. We all can feel very young at heart, but...
But I don't feel like I do, like what you were saying earlier. Like I feel like I went from like 16 to my age now, like in no time, and I just feel like, can time just stop for a moment?
Yeah. I don't. Oh my God, I do. I think I'm mourning the loss of my 20s. My 18-year-old, 17-year-old, like life, like I remember that, but my 20s, it's like lost. I'm like, where did you go?
Well, as a person who's on this side of 40, let me tell you, wait till you lose your 30s.
Sandra, hold on. What? Wait. Can I buy years? Like, can I hold on to a year?
No. So, they're talking about people living longer and longer. There are people alive who are 110, 115 years old. So we got plenty of years ahead of us.
Yeah, well,
it may not be rock climbing, salsa dancing years, but we got plenty of years ahead of us.
That's why they need to hurry up and build that flying car so you can just ride it around everywhere.
You mean you don't have a hoverboard yet?
No.
So
if I bought a hoverboard, my years would be over.
We'd stop walking everywhere.
No. I would fall and hit my head, and there's the end of Sandra.
That's funny. So they say your 20s are for your learning, or you're doing it, like making mistakes or something, and your 30s are for learning, and your 40s is when you like have it all down. Is that true?
I don't know.
Well, I've heard that often.
I keep going back to the idea that 40's a new 20. And so I'm like, if that's the case, then I'm in my teens.
No, I don't think that's the way it works.
Well, as there's a larger aging population, the stigma with turning 40 and 50 and even 60 has erased to a certain degree. Mm-hmm. So it's not considered to be the end of your life when you turn 40 years old.
But
well, no, I know a lot of people start their careers like at their early 40s, or they start like
second careers.
Yeah, yes, and or things that they look forward to their entire life.
But I think that age, like around 30, 40, is really that age where you're seen as a serious adult more, and you're taken more seriously probably than any other time of your life. Because when you're too young, people are like, oh, he's very junior, And when you get after 50 or 60, people are like, well, they're elderly, they can't really do much. So it's kind of like
so there's like a 15-year period
like your prime.
Where you're good. So 35 to 50
is your prime. So are we at our prime?
I guess so.
I think you're making things up because I think their prime was supposed to be like an 18. Yeah, we're getting old. If we're talking about making ourselves feel better because we're old, we're old. That's just not, I don't think that's going to change. So.
Actually, what I'm going to vote is let's have this conversation again and invite some people who are in their 20s to talk with us.
Oh, that would be fun.
Really?
To talk, but because they have that reverse ageist thing going on where a lot of them aren't taken seriously because they're in their 20s and they're millennials.
You're right.
And we know some very talented, very professional millennials that don't fit the stereotype at all.
Well, me, I used to look a lot younger than I do now, and when I looked younger, and people would be like, "Oh, you look like a teenager," and I felt like I didn't get as many. I wasn't taking it serious. And
opportunities? You think you missed opportunities because you looked younger?
Opportunities because I look very young, and now that I don't look young, like I'm taking more seriously.
But how do you feel? When we're talking about getting older, it's not how other people look at you; it's how you feel. When I'm saying that, my allergies acted up because the temperature changed, or that in fact I've got my arthritis in my shoulders, or I have a migraine.
Arthritis in your shoulder?
Mm-hmm. Both.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
I have the beginnings of arthritis. It means I'm not at the point where I'm in constant pain.
Oh wow.
I have a back that gives out, and you can go on and on and on. There are days when I really do feel my age. The question is, when are you considered to be old? When you consider yourself to be old? When your body starts to break down? When you turn 40? When are you considered to be old?
Well, I don't think we can decide.
No, I'm putting that out there. When do you consider yourself to be old? Or when do you consider others to be old? I know that when I was in my 20s, I thought 40 was old.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now that I'm in my 40s,
feared my 30s. I feared my 30s.
And now that I'm in my 40s, I don't feel old most days, but I do feel my age sometimes. And so when are you considered to be old? And we're going to put that out there, and we're going to end this conversation in that, because I've got a feeling we're going to come back to this conversation later.
Yes, again, we're going to include some other people to come on here and have the conversation from all age ranges. So
maybe,
come back.
Maybe people who aren't having conversations about aches and pains. If you're just tuning in, this is the Little Radio Show on hmsnetradio.org.
So a couple episodes ago, we were talking about our first jobs, and somehow we landed on the idea of failure and learning to deal with failure. And, I think I said something to the effect that, that it's important for us to teach our kids to understand that failure is a part of life. That there are moments in your life when you're going to fall short of maybe the goal that you had set for yourself, or the vision that you had for yourself. And I wanted to bring back that conversation because it kind of stuck with me. That idea of learning to deal with failure, because I think to a large degree that's not something that we learn in school. They don't teach you how to deal with failure in school. They don't teach you.
What do you consider failure?
I think it can be anything. Failure can be, I think to me, anything. But I think whether it's a failure in a relationship, whether it's a failure in your career, whether
not winning first place.
Yeah.
A lot of people consider not being in first place to be failure. It's like, okay, when we were talking about the Miss Universe pageant, and how everyone the Miss Universe had given so much effort. Well, they all gave a lot of effort.
Mm-hmm.
Making it that far was a success. But if you look at it from the perspective of none of them became Miss Universe, just one, they were all failures.
And I'll give you an example. Like when I was one of the things that I consider one of my first failures when I was working at a I forgot where I was working. I was it was one of my first jobs, and I was older then. I was already like able to work, so I was working legally. But I was
Okay. Into the Federal Labor Commission, please don't listen to this.
So I was working, I was on payroll, I was getting taxes deducted and everything, but, I think from one day to the next, the place that I was working at, they shut down. Like, we all showed up to the place, and they had completely shut down. The office was vacant. Like, they just, had up and left. And so it was then I was out of a job, and so, I was pretty hard. I took it pretty hard. I kind of, felt like a big failure on my part, how could I not see this coming? How could I let this happen? Now I have payments that I need to make, and they're not gonna happen. They're not gonna be made. And it was a little hard to get back on my feet because it took me a while to really say, hey, you know what? This is not the end of the world. You can go out and get another job. So to me, that's one example of a failure that I've had.
In the U.S., our identities are so closely tied to what we do for a living that when you lose your job, and this is especially true for men, it is deemed like a failure. It doesn't matter what the circumstances were, how far outside it was, the company had layoffs, whatever it is that may have happened, we do feel like somehow we didn't meet.
We didn't do what we were supposed to.
Somehow.
We could have prevented it somehow.
I should have seen it coming. There were signs everywhere.
I should have planned better,
yeah.
etc. And then, if you've lost your job, you have all of these outstanding debts and whatever, and it takes a while to find another job usually. The sense of failure just continues to grow. And so, have you seen, there's this movie called Company Men. It has Ben Affleck and a bunch of other really great actors in it. And it's about this company that slowly lets all of these people go and how they deal with it. And for some of them, it's just completely devastating. They can't get past it. Some of them, they have to take a step back and reinvent their lives. And so that is the thing. But failure... It can be anything. I didn't get the job. I didn't get into the college I wanted. I didn't get the promotion. I didn't make the sale I thought I was going to do. When I used to do PR for a living, we had this huge media event. We had blasted everyone. We had confirmed 4 reporters the day of the event, and not a single one showed up. Talk about a sense of failure. I spent the rest of the week just thinking I was the worst PR person in the world.
Mourning the loss and mourning that you felt like your reputation was muddied. In a way.
Yes, and it's I'd confirmed people. They had told me they were showing up. I thought it was good. And nope, no one showed up.
And the thing is that...
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that I think the thing is if when you fear failure...
You stop doing things.
You stop doing things.
Yes.
And I can attest to this because as a kid... I was the chubby kid. So, a lot of my friends or a lot of the kids in school would make fun of me because I was chunky. And so, I would hold back from doing a lot of things because I was like, no, if I do this, I'm going to jiggle. Or, you know what I mean?
Well, because it's not enough that you know that you failed. You don't want other people to know it.
You don't want them to notice. And then you, stop yourself from doing a lot of things. And, it wasn't until later in life that I really realized, you know what, it's my own thing. I'm holding myself back from doing things because I don't want to put myself out there for people to judge what I'm doing.
Well, there's that whole thing where if you only do things when you know absolutely for certain that you're going to succeed, then there's all sorts of stuff that you never try. And let me tell you, if you don't try, it's for certain you're not going to get it done.
Well, that's failure in completion.
Yeah.
It's how can you ever cross the finish line if you're not even, if you're not passing the start line? Yeah. But I think one of the sense of failures for me came later on in life when I because I was, not that I say I didn't care back then, but I cared very little about things, but I sense of failure came to me when I started having a lot of my my mental health issues, and it's starting to affect everything, like going to school, working, day-to-day life. And it hit me the hardest when I had accepted, I don't know if you remember this one, I had accepted a internship at the Houston Photo Center. Mm-hmm. I believe that's his name still. I believe that's what they call it. It's a photography center here in Houston. And I accepted an internship, and it was going so well. I was so like, if people don't know, for people who don't know me, one of my biggest things is curating shows, curating all kinds of things. And I was elated that they had accepted me, and they had put me in a higher position that they put other interns to actually be able to like get to that goal. So when I started going through these mental health issues, one of the things that held me back a lot was the ability to drive, and which meant I couldn't drive myself to the location. And when I did, I failed to show up early enough, on time, or I looked frazzled, or I looked, like beaten or something, like I haven't slept for days. And in fact, I had slept for many, many days, and I couldn't get enough rest. And so they had to let me go. And that's when I felt the biggest sense of failure, was then and there, where I was like, have I really been beaten by this? Like, how did I not see this coming? Why didn't I catch it sooner? What is wrong with me? And that was just like, it was my own race, and I was losing on my own race. I'm the only one racing. How is that happening to me? And I think that was my biggest sense of failure was then. And so it's never been like other things, and failure to me was that much. And I think, nobody ever talks about failure in, this aspect. Nobody ever says, this is okay. It's okay if you lose this, even if it's your own race, even nobody's cheering you on, nobody's watching. And if you lose your own race, it's okay.
And a lot of times it's because, I think a lot of times it's also because we internalize our failure. Like, we internalize it, and we don't let people see like that, what we're feeling. So people don't know like how badly we're feeling about something.
Well, there's shame attached to it.
Yeah.
And the reality is, going back to the issue of innovation and success, if I don't try to do something different, to do something new, to do something maybe a little bit outside of what I normally do, then I'm not going to improve. I'm not going to expand. I'm not going to make it to the next level. When you try something new, when you try this other stuff, even when you try something that you normally do, there's always going to be the possibility that it's not going to come out 100% perfect. The biggest thing that we have, though, is we don't look at the 99 times we hit the bullseye. We focus on that one time that we didn't.
And usually, like, there's a turning point at some point that makes you realize that you do have a capacity to do more than what you believe. And for me, that was... I started something when I started like one day. I just decided I was going to start walking. I started walking, and I just made it a habit. And, within a year's time, I had lost 100 pounds. And so, like, it was like day to night, like the way people treated you, the way people talked to you, it was completely different. And to me, that, it was nice. I enjoyed it. But what that told me, like, mentally, like, in my subconscious, and what I told myself then was, like, if I can do that, like, who knows what else I can do, because I never thought I was going to achieve that. But after I achieved something that was such a big milestone in my life, then I thought, well, you know what, I can graduate from college. I can, like, go and do this, and I can push myself to do more. And so I think a lot of times it's giving your own self the confidence by just taking little steps to achieve something. Well,
when I quit my job last year to start my own business, and there's that voice in the back of your head going, what are you doing? This is never going to succeed. What are you doing? What are you thinking? There's 100 people, there's 1,000 people out there more equipped, better equipped, and they weren't able to do it in this field and to make a success in this field. What makes you think that you would be any better? And the reality is, I just have to ignore that, doubting Thomas voice in the back of my head, which, by the way, doesn't make me do anything. The fact that I hear voices doesn't mean that I'm nuts. But we've all had those moments where the voice that tells you that you're going to fail is so loud, it's almost deafening.
So, in the process to failure, once you cross that starting point and you're walking that marathon, what I find myself is that that finish line, as it turns out, is not my finish line anymore. I've created another finish line, off to the left. My forecast splits. And so that finish line, I don't know if I want to come back to it. And so what I find is that all of a sudden, I have other talents. All of a sudden, I can do other things. All of a sudden, I'm an advocate. I'm speaking on behalf of myself, and in return, there's other people behind me. And you're doing other things, on the way to failures, quote unquote. There's other avenues, there's other levees, there's other trenches to be, walked. There's other wars that are being built that can be knocked down, and you have those assets. You have that ability to be able to do that. Even if you did fail, and I use air quotes here, even if you did fail on the way there, you achieved so much more. And then there's experience that nobody ever teaches you. You can read from books and books and books, but if you're not in the water, sort of trying to stay afloat, you don't know the adrenaline feeling. You don't understand what people say. And so you get that experience, and all of a sudden, you matured. And I think on the way to failure, you're maturing. And I much prefer failure. Yes, yeah. I much prefer failure so I can mature, para madurar.
And I think there's that, and I think there's that saying that I like, that it's like, once you hit rock bottom, there's nowhere you can go but up. So you're like, no matter how bad you fell, you're gonna, like, you can't keep, you can, but sometimes, but there's nowhere but you can go but start going up in some way.
Yeah, but some people don't want to hit rock bottom.
Yeah, and not necessarily that you have to hit rock bottom to fail, but like, if you do hit rock bottom, there is tomorrow. And like that very...
But we talked a little bit about this when we were talking about New Year's resolutions. Because today I didn't succeed at what I'm doing, didn't completely ruin my day, my week, my month, my year. It just means that maybe tomorrow I'm going to, start up and try again, and tomorrow is just another day. And it sounds blight to say, but if tomorrow I wake up and I'm like, oh, I wasn't able to do it yesterday, so why should I try today? I'm never going to get it done.
The older I get, I think the more less frantic I am about the possibility of failure, and the more okay I am with going with the flow and being like, okay, or I can't control everything, and things are gonna happen a certain way, and I just kind of have to navigate.
With age comes wisdom.
Yes, very
something
much.
Like that.
So if I'd give any advice to people out there, is first of all, don't let the fear of failure stop you from doing something. It can be scary, it is, but you've got to...
That sounds so cliche, but it's so true.
It's so true, but you've got to actually work past it. The other thing is, when you do come across an instance when you have failed at something, you really need to start focusing on all the wins you've had. It can't be that this is not, unfortunately, going to be the only time you're going to fail in your life, and more are coming. And if you dwell on it and don't pick yourself up and, start moving forward either to the same goal or another goal, you're never going to succeed. But the last thing I'm going to tell everybody, and this is the thing that has helped me the most, is get some cheerleaders. I have some wonderful people in my family and in my friends who very frequently remind me that whatever it is that I'm currently working on, or whatever it is that I'm currently stressing about, it's not the end of the world. And also remind me that I have a lot of talent, and that I can in fact go out and try this again, or try something else, or that it isn't the end of the world for me.
So I think if I would give advice out there in terms of failure, I would say this. Failure, when you're looking at failure, don't look at what went wrong, look at what went right.
And I think that's great advice, both of you guys' advice. But I would also add, my advice would be stay the course, and just stay the course. I think sometimes keep your eye on the prize, and don't look to the sides, and don't compare yourself to what's going on around you, or what other people are achieving. But just stay the course and follow through, and eventually you will overcome whatever failure you're facing.
And let us know how you deal with failure.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of The Little Radio Show. We invite you to check out our iTunes channel and our Stitcher channel and to leave us a rating or a review. You can find both links at thelittlерadioshow.com.